On November 29, 1943, the skies over Germany were filled with the ominous drone of Allied bombers. A massive formation of B-17 flying fortresses, the pride of the United States Army Air Forces, was on a critical mission to strike strategic targets in the industrial heart of Bremen. As the bombers pressed on towards their objective, Moran's eyes scanned the horizon, ever vigilant for the telltale specks that would herald the approach of enemy fighters. Among these steel birds was a B-17F from the 96th Bomb Group, christened with the whimsical name Rikki Tikki Tavi. Nestled in the tail of this flying fortress was Staff Sergeant Eugene Moran, a young man whose role as tail gunner placed him at the very edge of danger. The mission had begun like many others, with a tense briefing and the familiar rituals of pre-flight checks. But as the formation neared Bremen, the calm was shattered by the sudden appearance of German interceptors. Moran found himself trapped in a metal coffin plummeting through the frigid air. The world outside his small window became a dizzying blur of sky and earth as the tail section spiraled downward. His hands gripped the controls of his .50 caliber machine guns, the cold metal a stark contrast to the sweat beading on his palms. Yet, the very fact that he had survived the destruction of his bomber and the harrowing fall was nothing short of miraculous. He knew that his chances of survival were slim, but he refused to give up. With a silent prayer, he managed to extricate himself from the disintegrating tail section and pull his ripcord. The sudden jerk of the parachute deploying was a moment of profound relief, even as he watched the remains of his aircraft crash into the German countryside below. Books like Tailspin by John Armbruster provide invaluable insights into the personal stories behind the grand strategies and statistics of the air war. These accounts offer a window into the minds of the young men who found themselves thrust into extraordinary circumstances, facing death with a courage that continues to inspire decades later. The skies over Europe became the final resting place for thousands of airmen. Their aircraft transformed into tombs of twisted metal scattered across the continent. Each first-hand account, each piece of research adds to our understanding of this pivotal period in world history. The men who crewed the B-17s and other bombers were not just numbers in a ledger, but pieces on a strategic map. Let us take a moment to reflect on the courage and sacrifice of all those who took to the skies in defense of freedom. Their legacy lives on, inspiring us to value peace, honor, courage, and strive for a world where such conflicts become relics of the past. Stories, like that of the Rikki Tikki Tavi and her crew, serve as enduring testaments to the human capacity for bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. These works not only honor the memory of those who served, but also provide crucial lessons for future generations about the realities of conflict and the indomitable spirit of those who face adversity head-on. They were sons, brothers, and fathers, each with their own hopes, fears, and dreams. With desperate strength, he fought against the centrifugal forces pinning him to his seat, struggling to reach his parachute. Their sacrifices contributed to the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany and the liberation of Europe from tyranny. Yet the cost in human lives and suffering was immense, a sobering reminder of the true nature of war. As the battle raged, a malfunction struck the B-17, causing it to lag behind the protective cover of the formation. Despite the valiant efforts of her crew, the damage mounted. In a moment that would be seared into Moran's memory forever, the unthinkable happened. The bomber began to break apart. It serves as a testament to the bravery of the young men who climbed into their aircraft mission after mission, facing unimaginable dangers in the skies over enemy territory. The human cost of these missions was staggering, with bomber crews suffering some of the highest casualty rates of any branch of service. During World War II, like sharks sensing blood in the water, the German pilots seized upon this vulnerability. Concentrating their attacks on the isolated bomber, the staccato rhythm of his guns joined the cacophony of battle as he fought to keep the marauding fighters at bay. BF-19s and FW-190s swarmed around the bomber stream, their guns blazing as they sought to punch holes in the Allied offensive. For Moran, the world narrowed to the confines of his gun turret. But fate had other plans for the Rikki Tikki Tavi and her crew. The Rikki Tikki Tavi shuddered under the relentless assault. Bullets tore through her aluminum skin, and cannon shells exploded against her frame. With a sickening lurch, the tail section of the B-17 separated from the rest of the aircraft. In those terrifying moments, Moran's training kicked in. As the ground rushed up to meet him, Moran's fingers finally closed around the straps of his chute. Moran's ordeal was far from over. As he drifted down, he knew that capture by German forces was almost certain. The story of Eugene Moran and the Rikki Tikki Tavi is just one of countless tales of heroism and survival from the air war over Europe. The Bremen raid of November 29, 1943, is part of the broader strategic bombing campaign aimed at crippling Germany's industrial capacity. For every story like Moran's that ended in survival, there were many others that concluded in tragedy. The experiences of men like Eugene Moran have been preserved through the diligent work of historians and researchers. As we reflect on these events from the vantage point of history, it's crucial to remember the human element behind each mission, each aircraft, and each casualty statistic. The legacy of the bomber crews extends far beyond the immediate impact of their missions. Today, as we stand at a distance of nearly 8 decades from those events, the importance of preserving and sharing these stories becomes ever more apparent. For those interested in delving deeper into the experiences of World War II airmen, resources like Armbruster's Tailspin offer a wealth of information and personal narratives. As we conclude this exploration of Eugene Moran's extraordinary survival in the broader context of the air war over Europe in the end, it is through remembering and sharing these accounts that we ensure that the experiences and sacrifices of the World War II generation are never forgotten.